everybody, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. And this is going to be another somewhat special episode because it's another top 5. Now, where we're going to go with this one, where I'm going to go with this one, is my top 5 non-FIFA games. And yeah, I'm going to have a bit of fun with this one. My top 5 non-FIFA football games. So that's where I'm going with this one. And I'm going to start this list with Premier Manager 98. Now, I really enjoyed this game. Management sim on the PlayStation. There were a couple of things I really enjoyed about it. Pre-season, if you played Juventus, you got an extra £2 million. Well, £2 million each game if you played Juventus. That was one nice little trick. David Beckham used to cost like 10 million quid, but anytime you offered 10 million quid, you never got him. I think you had to offer like 20. So there's the valuations and that kind of thing. But also this little bit of the soundtrack as well, where it goes, I want you to go through the whole season, not lose one match.
I want you to go through the season and not lose one match.
I used to like that. It was a nice little mellow soundtrack. And one of the other things about Premier Manager 98 as well, and also carried into 99, was when you used to go into the highlights. So you could see the highlights of the match. And I think it was Barry Davis on commentary, if I'm not mistaken. And it had the actual soccer game engine on the highlights. You couldn't play, but you were basically watching, literally watching actual soccer, because I think it was Gremlin Interactive that actually were the developers of the game. And I just found it to be a hell of a lot of fun as a management sim. And it was the closest thing. I didn't have a PC at the time, so I didn't get to play Championship Manager. Didn't get to play that. So Premier Manager for me was kind of the closest at that time in 1998, where you could play a really in-depth and detailed management sim where you controlled your basically player budgets and wage bills and that kind of thing. You controlled additions to the stadiums. I really enjoyed that. The only bad thing is you had to have a whole memory card of storage. You had to have a whole memory card free for storage, and it took an eternity to save. Those were the only bad things about it, but Premier Manager 98 makes it a number 5. LMA 2001 comes in at number 4. Now, I would have said the original LMA Manager, but I'm going to come back to that later. But LMA 2001 for me, the little highlights that they used to do, and they had Alan Hansen on commentary, I enjoyed that. I actually really enjoyed it. And the instrumental of Eat My Goal by Collapsed Lung, I think was a nice little touch. It was mellow, it was in the background, it was like ding 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 ding. It was nice to have. And I used to love the what was their bootleg in the UEFA Cup? The FIFA Cup. And it's like, oh my god. I always used to draw I think it was Cervena Javedza. Always used to draw them, and it's like, why am I always drawing them in the first round? It used to be the same old teams. But I used to I think there was a cheat also as well to get like £100 million. So as soon as you put that cheat in, I used to play for a couple of seasons and then put that cheat in for 100 million quid and go out and buy guys like Zinedine Zidane. It's like, bugger it, I'm gonna go and do it. But I really enjoyed LMA Manager 2001. And I said, it did improve upon LMA Manager. Coming in at number 3, World Cup Italia 90. World Cup Italia 90. Gone! That game was hilarious. The top-down view. It was like, in years later, I was a fan of GTA, and the first 3 GTA games, well, technically 2 and the mission pack of 1969, those first 3 games had that top-down view, so I was already kind of enamored with it by that point. But World Cup Italia 90, it was so fun when you do a slide tackle and you'd be on the floor for 5 minutes. World Cup Italia 90 was brilliant. It had the real names. You had like Terry Butcher, Gary Lineker. You had the real names in there. There were a lot of countries you could pick from. for a Mega Drive game, there were a lot of countries you could actually pick from, and it's like, this is actually not half bad. And it was fun. It was fun. Me and one of my old primary school friends, we actually used to do our own commentary on this game as well as FIFA International Soccer. But we used to do our own commentary on this. We used to try and play the World Cup. We used to play the World Cup and try and win it as much as we could. And it was just funny, like every time you used to score a goal, it was just goal, and you just see the picture of someone doing the Alan Shearer celebration. It was such a fun game to play. World Cup Italia 90. It was so fun. It was just so much fun to play on the Mega Drive, and shout outs to it. World Cup Italia 90 comes in at 3. Coming in at number 2, another game that I always had a lot of fun in, and the opening soundtrack is just brilliant. World Cup Striker. Striker. It was brilliant. I am so enamored with World Cup Striker. As a non-FIFA game, so many fun memories from it. And if memory serves me correctly, this actually had the first indoor arena. Before FIFA 98 on the PlayStation, it was actually a World Cup Striker. So they were really the innovators behind it, but then FIFA 98 went and perfected it. But World Cup Striker, the teams you had, you could actually go in and change the names of each team, and I actually did that. I went through painstakingly and changed the name of every side to a Premier League side at that time. I was a kid, I had time. But it was one of them where the gameplay wasn't amazing, but it was fun, and it was a different era of gaming. As I mentioned with World Cup Italia 90, we're talking that SNES versus Mega Drive era, where gaming in general was just a lot more fun. And World Cup Striker, with the title sequence, with that song as well, it's like, you could tell they put thought into it and wanted to be a bit different. And that song is actually on YouTube. Someone's uploaded the song. I implore you, listen to that whole song. It's about 5 minutes long, but it is it's a catchy little beat. World Cup Striker on the Super Nintendo was just brilliant. And as I said, I had a lot of fun with it, especially the indoor games. Number 1, my favorite non-FIFA game of all time, ISS Pro 98. Now, I put the PlayStation version over the N64 version. I preferred the PlayStation version. For me, ISS Pro 98 was the best non-FIFA game, and arguably is one of the best football games in my view of all time. From that kind of 94 to 2002 period, it's one of them where ISS Pro 98, the gameplay, it was so different to FIFA and the buttons were different, but it really was a precursor obviously to Pro Evolution Soccer, which it became. ISS Pro 98, it was a shame with the fake names and that kind of thing, but that actually kind of made it a bit more fun. You had, Roberto Larcos instead of Roberto Carlos. ISS Pro 98, I really enjoyed on the PlayStation. And you had just sides like Brazil, Italy, who were quality sides. I think Ravanelli was Rovinelli or Ravanello or something like that. But Roberto Larcos and Renarid as well. It was like those two names alone. It was like, oh man, you couldn't have gotten the licenses. They did obviously in later years. Konami got the licenses. But ISS 98, the gameplay was phenomenal. It really, really was phenomenal on it. I want to give a couple honourable mentions. LMA Manager deserves an honourable mention. I really, really enjoyed that game for a number of reasons. I mean, it was like, we got something a little different. It was a little different. The League Managers Association manager, and it was like, okay, cool. I can get with this. Really, really enjoyed it. The green and yellow football on the printed on the disc. It looked pretty cool actually. But LMA Manager, I did enjoy the first one, but I just preferred LMA 2001 because of the advances it made. Another honourable mention goes to Premier Manager 99. Premier Manager 99 did improve. It was a little easier to buy players, and I always used to buy Luke Nillis because he was basically a 4.5 star player that you could get on the cheap. So I always used to buy Luke Nillis first and foremost. You didn't have the cheap where if you played Juventus, you got a couple £1 million each game. But Premier Manager for me, it was that little jazzy soundtrack. That jazzy piano soundtrack, and it was like, okay, this is good, but I did prefer 98. The graphics got a little better, the loading times slightly shorter, but you still needed a whole memory card worth of storage basically, and it was like, oh, that's annoying. But Premier Manager 99 I thought was a quality game. Really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, so those are my top 5 non-FIFA games, and also some honourable mentions as well. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree with my picks? Are there any games that I actually missed that I should have had? If there are, comment section is below. Let me know. At Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we are up to. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. You can catch us on Instagram at Pitch Talk on Instagram, and also youtube.com/Pitch Talk. You can catch all of our videos, including the Straight Shootin View vlogs, Coaching with JBK, 5 Minutes with the G-Man's vlog as well. You can catch also our vlogs, videos as audio as well on mixcloud.com/Pitch Talk. You can catch us on Podbean as well. Pitch Talk Podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and also Google Podcasts as well. Search the Pitch Talk Podcast. I've been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time, thank you for joining me for another top 5 on the Straight Shootin View. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my picks? Comment section is below. See you next time, peeps. Join the Pitch Talk revolution on social media, dropping vlogs, blogs, videos, and podcasts on the beautiful game.